Okay, so hey guys, it's Christy. Sorry for the way I look. I'll apologize for that. I did the best I could. I actually just got released again from the hospital. A couple of complications, nothing too crazy. Didn't even lose any body parts this time, which is super exciting. So I'm very happy about that. However, there's some things I want to talk about that I think are on a lot of people's minds, not just mine. On January the 16th, I was getting ready to go for a normal day, just a haircut, felt a little weird. And within about 5 minutes of getting to my car, my entire body paralyzed, where I could not move an inch of my body and had to voice dial to get 911 to my car. This has happened to me 3 times. And we've been thinking that it was possibly due to some of the other crazy rare medical disorders that I also have, which, by the way, guys, not so rare because the way you get them are either genetic or weight loss induced. So I think we're just really underdiagnosed and not enough awareness of these situations. I also have some conditions that really basically are destroying my vascular system, and those are called superior mesenteric artery syndrome, nutcracker syndrome, pelvic congestion syndrome, and May-Turner syndrome. I found a fantastic doctor about a year and a half ago. Well, no, right at about a year this time, on December 19th, to treat my nutcracker syndrome, because he finally someone that believed me that I was sick and didn't just gaslight me for the last 14 months like most healthcare providers had been doing. And coincidentally, I am an ER nurse, and trauma nurses was my background prior to all of this. But yet for 14 to 16 months, I was gaslit and that I was crazy and there's nothing wrong with you. However, on December the 19th, a fantastic vascular surgeon listened to me and took me into surgery and found out that my left renal vein was much, much larger than my aorta, and it burst on when they tried to move it. So they were attempting to fix nutcracker syndrome, which is one of those, and the way to do that is to either do a renal vein transposition to move your renal vein down by several centimeters, or you can do an auto transplant, which means move your kidney to the opposite side if that's available, or the most drastic, which is what I was actually heading to do, is get rid of the kidney. So I did get myself put on the live kidney donation registration, and as of right now, my kidney function and my nutcracker syndrome has been under control, so we're going to try to hang on to that little boy as long as we possibly can. But when we find out that it starts to fail, that's going to be the first place I go, is to do a live kidney donation to save someone else's life if that kidney wants to try to kill me. So we're going to go there. But as of right now, we're going to hang on to it just because we got enough issues. So let's not just add on to that box. So let's go back to that whole paralyzing thing. So this has now happened to me 3 times. 2 times was at home, and once was on Halloween night. The next was 4 days prior to me having a stroke that also required to me being T&K'd and put in ICU for a couple of days. So I did have a left-sided ischemic stroke that was aborted by T&K. Thank God for my healthcare providers at Our Lady of the Lake Health System, because these guys at Our Lady of the Lake have seriously done the best job they possibly can for the last year and a half of caring for me, where many, many other hospitals here in Louisiana have just basically said, you're crazy, and find mental health. So these people actually saved my life, and they kind of cared more so than let's just tell her she's nuts and give her some Ativan and roll on. They actually looked for a problem and tried to fix it. Now, with that being said, after my stroke, I had to follow up with neurology, and we're also still trying to figure out why do I keep becoming paralyzed. So my fabulous neurology person told me that there's a rare disease called hypokalemic periodic paralysis, and there's a hypo and a hyper, which means one's high, one's low. And so she's fairly certain that's probably the other situation that's going on with me. So she ordered me a specific medication, ordered into the pharmacy about 45 days ago, roughly 45 to maybe 60 days. She wanted me to start taking this drug because if I get an episode, it comes on, and I know it comes on, and we try to stop it at the pass before it actually happens, because it's very similar to having a seizure. People get auras. I also get specific triggers that I know this is about to happen, and I need to get myself parked somewhere. And once it starts, I can't stop it. So, and at that point I get locked up and my entire body cannot move. I'm basically paralyzed into a little tight ball. And you can't even move me if you wanted to. So EMS can't even pry my arms apart to put an IV in at that point once it happens. So of course you can imagine how terrifying it is to have your entire body paralyzed and your muscles so tight that 4 grown men can't move you. It is absolutely terrifying to be in that body. So we're trying to figure out what do we do? How do we fix it? Because it's in Rare Illnesses book, like every other thing wrong with me. And so she comes up and she's like, Christy, I'd really like to start you on this medication. I think it would be great. I think this is going to be the trick. So let me go ahead and call it in. We're going to get you started on it and we're going to see how it does. So medication got called in, never got filled. No one ever contacted me to say, hey, we don't have this medication. We can't get this medication. We can't do anything about it. What can we do? And so when do I find this out? Because I had a friend go to pick it up for me and we find out that they never filled it. So we called another pharmacy to find out about filling that medication. They tell me that it's going to get transferred. Prescription's going to be transferred over there. No problem. We're going to do it right now and we're going to take care of it. Well, 2 weeks goes by and this has been since January the 1st. And on about the 14th, I am messaging back and forth with my neurologist and she says, how's the medicine working for you? And I said, I still haven't been able to get it. She goes, what do you mean? And I said, well, this is what happened. It got filled at the hospital when I was admitted, but I wasn't there. So they didn't fill that's what they're telling me. They didn't fill the prescription, but they happily transferred it over to a different pharmacy for me. She goes, well, did you go get it? I said, tried. It's not in yet. And they told me they don't have the prescription at all. So no big deal, right? That was the 14th. 16th, paralyzed again, back up in the emergency room for 9 hours. So we talked to my neurologist again. She says, Christy, we really hate you on this medication. Let's see what we can do. Well, 2 days later, I end up right back in the hospital again because once I get one of those episodes, it snowball effects into every other organ system that I have because vascular feeds everybody. So if something in the vascular system is screwed up, it screws up every other organ there is. So the entire body and every other organ needs blood flow in order to do its job properly. So the problem is that if I don't have enough blood flow, organ can't do its job right. So it's going to shut down. It's got a lot of pain. It's going to act funky and it's not going to do what it's supposed to do. So you need adequate blood flow to all those organs in order for your body to produce and do like it's supposed to. Very similar to why we run you to the cath lab if you're having a heart attack within 90 minutes, because I'm not working on the heart itself. I have to actually open up the blood vessels and restore the blood flow to the muscle of the heart for it to get back to normal. And that's the same thing with your brain. That's why they want you to be there as soon as possible, because they're working on the blood vessels into the brain to dissolve the clot or do what they have to in order to restore the blood flow to the brain. So why isn't it like that for every other dang organ that we have? It is. They just don't care, or they don't pay attention, or they don't ever consider that possibly we need to do something about vascular for this patient. So keep that in mind. So we'll fast forward. I'm in the hospital. We talk about what we're going to do. We talk to several nurses. We talk to the intake, the case manager, everybody. Christy, we're going to get your medication. We're going to figure it out because you're in the hospital. We're going to figure it out. We're going to get it. We're going to have everything before you leave. Well, let's fast forward to last night when I got discharged. So I get discharged and we send the medications to the pharmacies, but that medication had to be put on paper. So we bring the paper with us to the pharmacy. Went back this morning to go pick it up, and the pharmacist immediately tells us we don't have this medication. We won't order this medication for you, and we won't carry this medication. You won't be able to find it. I'm like, okay, what do I do? She said, well, you can call around and talk to other pharmacies, maybe try CVS, try these other people, see what you can, maybe they'll have it. So we spent the better part of the morning, and I don't even know what time of day it is. I think it's like 4 o'clock tonight, or even in the evening. And we have been literally calling every pharmacy, every compound pharmacy, every private pharmacy, every human that we can find that possibly could help us find this one medication. And we just keep getting the door slammed on us. Door slam, door slam, door slam, door slam. Finally, I look up the prescription on its own website. I find it. I send out a little note to it. And we get a hold of a couple of pharmacies that actually can give us a little bit more information. Coming to find out, a 1 month supply of this medication, 1 pill a day, is $34,000. My prescription is for 2 pills a day. I need to have it twice a day. And no one carries it. And they pretty much guarantee you that insurance isn't going to want to cover it. And no one will order it to get it in, because until it's paid for, they don't want it until they prove that they're going to get the money for it. So I am now stuck, basically. I'm hoping to hear back from the company that has it, has the drug. The Kievis is the name of the drug. I have also got in contact with a company that is technically they pulled the generic version off of the counter because they never sold it, basically. So it's one of those drugs that's for the rare people like me. So I guess because it's so expensive and they never really sold it, once they sold out, they quit carrying it because, it's an expensive drug to have sitting around. So they quit carrying it. Now, $34,000 for one pill, no matter how you cut it, that seems a bit excessive. And, at mine, it would be $64,000 a month. And I'm sorry, but I can't afford a BMW once a month for the rest of my life to keep me from becoming paralyzed every now and then. So I'm kind of out. I'm kind of done. Pharmacy, Big Pharm, y'all suck. Y'all suck. That's all I'm going to say. Y'all suck. You know why you suck? Because every single time I had a medication for epilepsy, this was the same situation. The drug's too expensive. We don't keep it on board. We're not going to keep it on board. And then it would take months and weeks to get these meds. The reason you do this is because you have the monopoly on the medication. Nobody else has it. Nobody else makes it. And there's only like 10 of us that have to need it. So you can charge me as much as you possibly want, because how else am I going to survive without this med? It's the same thing with the chemo drugs. It's the same thing with people's high-dose insulin that you don't want to have to handle. You want to charge us the most possible money necessary because that's what it costs us to stay alive. So I have the choice. I can have a home and electricity and food and a nice place to live, a car, insurance, and everything to drive myself back and forth to these doctor's appointments. Or I can sleep on the side of the road to take a pill that you're charging me $64,000 a month for that might not even work. Y'all are nuts. Like, do you care about people or do you really care about your freaking pocketbooks, y'all? Because I went into healthcare to help humans, not to load my pocketbook up. Because if that was the case, baby, I'd be a lot richer than I am now. Trust me. I do not agree with this. You make pills to try to help people. You're not making pills to make bank. That's what it's about. You're trying to keep people like me alive. Isn't that important? Isn't that why we all went into healthcare? So we can live? So we can make a difference in this world? So I can be around, so I can teach more people how to save lives, how to make a difference, how to keep your patient alive, how to save you from the point of death, how to bring you back from death, because that's what I do for a living. I teach people how to save people, how to keep them alive, how to keep people like me alive, but nobody cares. Who cares? Is it important that I can bring you back from the dead when I can't fill the freaking prescription that they give me after I leave the hospital when you saved me? You suck. I need meds. I need the med. I can't afford $70,000 a month. I'm barely affording the $150 a month I'm already having to pay. Where's the end of this? Where? Why do you need so much money for this drug? Is it made in 14-karat gold cat shit? I don't understand. Do you want to keep people alive? Do you want to help them? Do you want to make them heal and get better? Because that's what I want. That's what I went to school for. But you know what's going to happen? I'm not going to be able to stay alive to train more people to keep them alive. You know why? Because I can't afford the stupid medication that I need to keep me doing this. You have to do better. I'm so glad we have the people coming into administration as we can. I'm not a fan of a bunch of them, but you know what? Freaking, they're going to bat for us. They're trying. They're cutting out regulations that are letting things actually go to market to try it, to give you the drug to give us and let us test it out. They're taking off the counter some of the stuff that's killing us anyway, that's causing the problems. What's so bad about that? What? None of it. If it wouldn't be for the human beings that need all of the stuff that you're doing, you don't have a job anyway. Cut your freaking profit margins down. Save our lives. We need more stuff. You don't need that. You don't need $35,000 for 30 pills once a month. You don't. Nobody does. It needs to be cost effective and fair for the human beings that actually need these things. And you have no idea who you're trying to keep alive. The people that need these things, it could be the waitress that just served you a sandwich. It could be the freaking Pope. But you know what? We all having to pay the same amount. And the little waitress making her $2.35 an hour that's been paying tax on her tips all this time, she can't afford it either. The Pope can. He gets lots of donations. He can get whatever he wants. But the rest of us normal human beings that actually make the world go round, that don't have the money and all the crap that y'all get to get and do and have fun and fly around on your jets and go on your boat, dance in fancy dresses and say, yay, we won. We don't get to do that stuff. And we're the only reason you people have jobs. Please, please consider us when you're thinking about marking out prices, when you're putting out a drug, when you're actually putting something out. Remember the fact that the human being asking for it is indeed a human being. And that's what I think is the most important thing with anything we do on this planet. I could care less if you want to be a girl, a boy, a giraffe. I don't care. Blue, green, white, teal, whatever. You're still a human being. And at the end of the day, we all breathe the same way, we all bleed the same way, and we all die the same way. Some of us just get a nicer casket. Do better.